Well, hello and good morning. It's morning here on the farm, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about how you use your time when learning English. Sometimes it's better to do certain things in the morning, certain things in the middle of the day, and other things are best done at night, at least in my opinion. So this English lesson will simply be Bob expressing his opinion on the types of things you should be doing when learning English in the morning, in the middle of the day, and at night. Let's start by talking about mornings. In my opinion, mornings are a great time to do the hard stuff. If you're learning the English language, I think morning is a great time to do the things that are the most difficult. In the morning, you're usually very fresh. Your mind is very alert, and it's easier to learn new things, in my opinion, but I think this might also be backed up by science. You'll have to check. So one of the first things I think you should be doing every morning is a little bit of reading. You might have to set your alarm clock a little earlier than normal so that you can get up to do this. But I think getting up and reading a chapter in a novel, in an English novel, is a great way to start the day. You can learn a little bit more vocabulary while you're reading. You can enjoy the story, and hopefully you can understand it better because your mind is fresh. I also think morning is a great time to do some writing. It's a great time to think about what you did the day before and maybe write a few sentences in a journal. If you did do a little bit of reading, it's a great time after you do that reading in the morning to just sit down and write a little summary of what you've read. Again, in the morning, your mind is fresh. Hopefully you've just learned some new words the day before, or you've learned some new words in the reading that you just did. So sit down, take a moment, and do a little bit of writing. And then lastly, and this one might be a little challenging depending on your time zone, I think it's a great time to have an English conversation. As many of you know, I'm constantly practicing my French. And when I speak with my French speaking partner in France, we usually do that in the morning. Well, it's morning for me. It's not morning for them. But I like to do that in the morning because my mind is fresh. It's easier for me to think of the words I need to think of. So if you can arrange it, if you can find someone who you can have a nice English conversation with, try to schedule that for early in the morning and see if you can get that done. So those are the three things I recommend you do in the morning. I know it's probably going to be a little time consuming. This is going to definitely be easier if you are a morning person, but give it a try. Try to schedule 30 minutes to an hour each morning before you head off to work or school to do a little bit of English. So I think the middle of the day is a good time to do something fun. I think the middle of the day is usually a time where you don't have a lot of time, but maybe you just have a few moments to do something quick. And that usually involves using your phone. So the first thing I recommend that you do in the middle of the day is to just sit down and watch a YouTube video. Follow an English teacher on YouTube like me or one of the other many English teachers on YouTube, and just take a moment to watch one of their YouTube videos. And don't forget, it's a really good idea to watch English lessons on YouTube twice. It just really helps you to remember what's going on. The other thing I recommend you do in the middle of the day is practice English using some kind of app. Maybe you like Duolingo or Babbel or one of the other many apps that are out there. Take some time in the middle of the day. Maybe sit on a park bench after lunch. Maybe after you're done eating your sandwich at your desk in your office, just pull out your phone and then just take some time to use an app to practice some English. Again, little snippets of learning, little snippets that you can do in the middle of the day are just easier. Again, especially if you are working or a student, it's not always easy to find more than 5 or 10 minutes to study. So if you can find the time, pull out your phone, watch a YouTube video, an English lesson on YouTube, or take some time to practice with an app. So let's talk for a little bit about what I think you should do in the evening. Now, again, these are just Bob's theories. These are not proven to be true, but my theory is this. In the evening, you should do things that are relaxing, that are not very difficult. And so in the evening, one of the things I think you should do is listen to some English music. I think evening is a great time, maybe when you're making supper, maybe as you're getting ready to go to bed. Evening is a great time to just listen to a few English songs. And if you do this, try to listen to the same English song every night for a few nights in a row. It's just a good idea to have that repetition as well. But evening is definitely a great time to listen to some English music. Another great thing to do in the evening is to listen to a podcast. Now, you might just listen to a regular English language podcast, or you might listen to a podcast made by an English teacher. But evening is a good time to listen to a podcast. Again, maybe you're cleaning the house, maybe you're making supper, maybe you're doing something else in the evening, and you just want to be able to listen to some music. So find a podcast in English and listen to it. You can also use this time as well to re-listen to the YouTube video that you watched earlier in the day. Sometimes you don't need to actually see the English lesson. Sometimes just listening to it is a good idea as well. So another thing you can do in the evening, something that's a little more passive and relaxing, find an English podcast and give it a listen. One of my favorite things to do at night is to watch the French news. And I think you should do the same, but you should, of course, watch the English news. Maybe turn on the TV and find the English news station if you have one. And if you don't, just go on YouTube and find an English news channel. Watching the news in English is just a good way to learn a bit more English. And as well, you may have already heard some of the news stories earlier in the day. I highly recommend that if you watch the news in English, that you watch world news, news about things that are happening in the world. Because it's very likely that you'll already have seen the news story or heard the news story or read the news story earlier in the day in your own language. And this will help you understand the English version of it. So if you have a bit of time after supper, after you've done the dishes and tidied up the kitchen, maybe sit down and watch some English news. Well, thank you so much for watching this English lesson where I expressed my opinions about when you should be studying and what you should be studying in the morning, in the middle of the day, and at night. You can either agree or disagree with me. If you want, you can let me know in the comments what you think and what works best for you. Remember, if this is your first time here, don't forget to click that red subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you want. And again, if you have some extra time, why don't you stick around and watch another English lesson.